Welcome to Rugby After Hours. I'm your host, Johnnie Beattie, where we take a golden hour with a star-studded panel of guests to look back at the first weekend of the Rugby World Cup 2023. First, let's take a look at the opening action from the first round of games. Well, how good was that? And if the opening weekend has been anything to go by, we're in for a real treat. A quick reminder that you can take in all of the highlights at Rugby Pass TV. Welcome to Rugby After Hours, and a big welcome to our guests, Jimmy Gopperth, Greg Laidlaw and Steffon Armitage. Boys, what did you make of the opening weekend?
Yeah, it was pretty special, wasn't it? The atmospheres, the stadiums were pumping. Everyone was just enjoying themselves in the beautiful French weather.
Yeah, mate, it was a great start, wasn't it? I think it's really exciting looking ahead to the rest of the comp in many ways. I think the fact that France got off to such a great start and Stade de France, it was incredible. It's probably the best game of the first games that have been played so far. So, yeah, looking forward to the rest.
Steph, what did you make of the opener?
Well, I think you got to look at it in two different ways. I think it was a little bit. Not everyone might agree with it, but I think seeing the Eiffel Tower, seeing the trophy, there's different things come with it. But I think there's only one way I could sum it up and just say it's French.
It was really French. And what about everyone in the crowd? We had Mbappe, we had George Russell, we've had Big Jerry Butler down this weekend. What's it been like to see those names in and around the stadiums?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? It just shows, rugby needs to grow a little bit, and we've seen those people come in and, adds another audience because all their followers see them at these rugby games in the World Cup, and so they'll be checking it out and creating a bit of a buzz around the place. It was pretty cool.
And George Russell actually mentioned that you reckoned he was a bit of a standoff back in the day. Thoughts? You see him playing?
Yeah, no, I listened to the interview there, and he reckons he was a standoff, but he gave up when he was 12. So I'm not sure how much experience, but dripping wet, I'd say he's probably 50 kilos. So I don't think he'll go down pretty good against some of those, even like South African boys who'll get snapped in half, mate.
He must have been a skillful one, mate. Going for the skill.
Well, it's been incredible. 15.5 million people tuned in to watch the game in France, the opener. 23 million, for context, watched their World Cup final. It's been absolutely epic. To final note, Hugo Monnier, neckerchief. Steph, you having that, or you?
Not really, to be honest. I think he's trying to be Chris Eubank, so not a big fan, let's be honest.
I don't know if I could pull that off, mate, but I think he looked better because he was sitting next to Big Jim, mate.
Fellas, so the premise of After Hours is this is no stress. This is fun. We're digesting the weekend. No intensity. So, Steph, don't look worried. We've got a few different games we're going to play. We've got the Good Great Wall, we've got Reddit and Weep, and we also have Agree or Disagree. We will explain more in due course. And we're going to start with the Good Great Wall. So, lads, this is the Good Great Wall. Clearly, it isn't that great and all the budget's gone on the Villa and your appearance fees, but here we are. We're going to ask you on the Good Great Wall to rank your performances, your standouts from the weekend, and where they rank from good, very good, or great. Who wants to go first?
I can go first, mate.
Your position, mate. This is easy.
It should be.
Greg? Monsieur Antoine Dupont.
Dupont.
I'm going to ask you to, where do you reckon? Good, very good, or great?
Put him in the middle, mate. He's very good.
Could be better.
Yeah, but mate, they beat the All Blacks. Solid start. Very good player. Very good performance.
Anyone agree, disagree?
No, I agree. Yeah, it was a tight game. It was he marshalled them well. Wasn't that we didn't see the big flashes of brilliance he brings, but he brought that really controlled game and his kicking game and stuff like that. So
how good was his kicking game? For people that don't understand,
he's both feet.
Yeah, it's
unreal.
Good skill,
isn't it?
Pretty good skill, man. And he's just as good of both of either side. So yeah, man, he's special.
Outstanding. Next one up, Mr. Bundy Aki. Jimmy?
I thought he was pretty good, wasn't he? He's again, it's you don't want to push him too hard too early. So I think he was very good. He got that sort of Irish attack going forward with his direct running and offload game. So I put him very good because you don't want to blow smoke up as too early. But no, he was good, mate. He was everywhere. He was everywhere what Ireland were doing. He was a part of it. So he had a very, very good game.
Anyone agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I'd agree, mate. Yeah, big, strong boy, and he done his job pretty sweet on the weekend.
Right, Steph, this one's for you. Georgie Ford.
Yeah. I think, to me, I think he was very, very good, especially playing against playing with 14 men. I think he controlled the game really well, and he put England in the right places where they needed to be. So I'm definitely going to have to say very good, because I think he brought the game home.
Very good. Any advances on very good, fellas? I'm looking at the halfbacks here.
I reckon
I'd push him to great.
He'd be probably the one to go great from this
come
round.
on, boys.
From that round of games, mate.
He was probably the player of the round.
To be honest,
sure.
I'll take that, a Scottish and a Kiwi saying that the Englishman's great. So
He was under pressure.
I'll take that.
That whole team was under pressure, and he was, immensely under pressure, and he just grabbed the game by the and said, "Look, I'm taking this, and I'm going to win it for you." And so it's going to be pretty hard to drop him.
Yeah, it is. He was knocking drop goals over from nearly 50 metres, so yeah, he's definitely in that category.
I think we all agree. Springboks, big win for them against Scotland. Would that be seen as a big win? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so for them.
Yeah, mate, there was a good start. I thought, Scotland really stuck in, and Scotland were good in that first half, but the Springboks quality showed over 80 minutes, and that sort of power game coming into that second half. So,
and Manny Libbok, a 10 for them. How would you rate his performance?
Yeah, look, I thought everyone's going to talk about his goal kicking because he's a 10 and he's a goal kicker, and that's clearly a part of the game he needs to work at. But I thought around the field, he created opportunities. Cheeky little no-look bloody cross-field kick.
Big fan.
That was special. That was special. And he sort of got their attack whenever they wanted to attack. Got it going. So I thought he was good. And yeah, I say everyone's just going to talk about his goal kicking, which clearly needs work on. But around the field, I thought he was very good.
Yeah, very good.
Very good.
Very good.
Yeah, I think it's a fair call, mate. As you say, he missed a couple of kicks, but he was able to sort of separate that from his performance, which is credit to him. And what a crossfield kicker, as Jimmy's already mentioned.
Cheeky. And another one of the performances of the weekend, Fiji. So close against Wales. And this man, Sami Radradra, where would you place him? Steph?
To be honest, I'd place him in between very good and great. Obviously, when you look at the result, I think they'll be pretty disappointed with the loss. But I think he had a really, really good game, just going forward, and even in defence. I think he was one of the main guys for Fiji, and I think obviously he'd be disappointed, but I think he could hold his head up high and say, "Listen, we're ready for the next game."
Jimmy, defensively, any questions?
He was, he's world class, isn't he? He's a guy that a lot of defenders fear because of his ability, and I felt for him that last pass, but obviously not many spectators would know, like, when that ground is dewy and it's slippery, that ball hit the turf. And it's like hitting a 7-iron onto a green from 180 yards when the green's frozen. That thing just goes. So, he'll be disappointed on that. But he's a phenomenal player.
We've had a look at a few 10s already. Scotland in that defeat to South Africa. Finn the Muscle Russell. Grieg, I'll let you go on this one.
Yeah, I'm a good mate, Finn. Mate, I thought he was very good, to be quite honest with you, Johnny. And probably more in a different aspect, he was unbelievable in defence from the weekend. And normally, we were talking about in that attacking sense, but he was so brave. He obviously took a bit of a blow on his ribs as well, but he dug in there. He was very good. He showed leadership, and he just needed a little bit more help around about him. And it's so difficult to get that attacking game going when you lose your line out and the scrum's under pressure. So he needed help, but all in all, I thought he was very good and showed great leadership, especially around his defence. He was so brave.
He also had that try saver on Cheslin Colby, which is pretty special.
Which is not easy to do.
Finn, we're going to go
That's
very
what I'm saying
good.
anyway, boys. Maybe I'm a bit biased, but...
One of the
Damian.
characters, your old mate from Clermont Grieg as well, one of the characters of the French squad, Damian Penaud. Steph, how did you rate him at the weekend?
Well, I think he was great, to be honest. I think he's one of these players that you'll find him everywhere on the pitch. He's always running off 9, he's always running off 10. He's even gets involved with the forward. So I just think he's, for me, he's probably up there being one of the best players in the world. I think you just have to look at scoring 30 tries in for the French team. I think that shows what kind of character and what kind of player he is. So for me, I think he was a great. Probably if you could go further, I'd probably give him further, but the board's too small.
There we go, one of the characters as well. The best try celebration I think we've seen on the big screens as well. Character, Damien. Great. Right, who else we got? Oh,
There's the back rows.
oh, there's not many back rows in there, mate, Steph. I'm sorry, this weekend. Faf. Grieg.
Yeah, I thought he was very good. Very good. I reckon he was real solid. Took over the kicking duties as well, which sometimes isn't easy, going into games. And again, he just connects so well with that Springbok pack. I mean, sometimes they make his job, easier at times. But again, he's just class. He's got time on the ball. His kicking's always on point, and he's brave as well. But I think the fact that he took over that goal kicking and stuff like that, I thought he was very good.
Very good.
He was, and it's like I was at that game, and a player cammed him a little bit, and he's one of those, when you're playing 10, he's one of those 9s who he's a little like you see him behind the line and you got one eye on him because you know he's going to fly through that line and put a lot of pressure on you. And there's a couple of times he done it really well, and it just nullifies the attack. So
picks his times well.
He does. He's a very smart player.
Thanks, fellas. That was a good first set out. We're now going to move into Reddit and Weep, where we look at the Rugby Union Reddit page for the World Cup and get some hot takes from the fans. The team here at World Rugby Studios have been trawling online to find the best and worst takes from the first weekend, and we're going to put these to the boys and see what they think. Lads, there might be a few stinkers, so get ready. So based on Peter O'Mahony's Instagram, he clearly loves a little bit of gardening back home, and the question is, who's looking after his grass back home while he's here at the World Cup, lads?
I don't know about his grass, but I need to know what he was up to with the sunscreen on. We didn't line up for the anthem. He had like the Australian, like you can fully see he was going pretty Irish on a nice sunny day. It was cracking up.
He's here for a game of cricket as opposed to rugby, is that what we're saying?
Exactly.
The next one that's popped in from Barry Lacroix, and he's talking about the short swapping. Bowden Barrett and Mathieu Jalibert. Clearly you got a shirt swap after every game where you try your best, but a short swap, is that a step too far or is that the norm?
I don't know, mate. I don't think there's too much short swapping when I was playing. But
2005 I played against the Lions in New Zealand for Wellington, and I swapped with Johnny Wilkinson shorts, socks, and jersey.
And underpants, mate.
There you go.
So there you go, mate. It's been done. So, it's okay. It's okay.
Baksan is back. You remember Baksan from Japan in the previous World Cups, the man that body paints himself in a jersey everywhere he goes. Should we get him up to Villa for tutorial and get you painted, Steph, or?
100%, I'm down for it.
You're
I'll
keen.
do anything, once.
Massive amount of talk about George Ford. Every single person. What a performance. He said, screw the game plan. I am the game plan. That's from somebody at Northampton Saints, which is strange that's coming in from him. But George Ford is a topic in general. His performance, what do we make? I'm going to come to you, Jimmy. 10, 12, 13 combo now. Owen Farrell skipper. Is he coming back in the squad? Where does he start? What would you do? You've played against them all. You know them really well. What would your permeation be? How would you deploy that English backline?
I think pretty much as it is. Forward, keep Manu there for a bit of go forward, and Merchant's been unreal. So I keep that exactly like they've been going. George Ford deserves the number 10. He guides that team around. I was very impressed with Mitchell as well at halfback. So that combination together, keep them together. They've got nothing to lose. Just rip in.
And Greg, do you reckon that is the combo? You might have a slightly different opinion to Jimmy, but if you were to bet on England or back them to get as far as they can in the competition, is that the combo you'd go with, or would you tweak it slightly?
No, I'd agree with Jimmy. I think on that one, I think Mitchell probably had his best game at England in that number 9 slot, and so it's about winning games of rugby, and the team functioned really well, even though they went down to 14. So it's about taking opportunity when you're in that slot, and I think the boys that were selected for that last game probably done that.
Antoine Dupont, Steph, not sure if you saw this, but having a pre-match kip on the bus before the biggest game of rugby we've ever seen and taking on the All Blacks. Squidgy Goat says apparently he's known for kip on benches in the change rooms and before games too. The guy loves his sleep. Have you seen anything like that on a French bus in France?
No, I've just seen I've only seen like Carl Heyman do it, to be honest. He'll sleep anytime, anywhere, just before a game. But I suppose he probably needs it for all the running he does during a game. You know, he's all over the place, everywhere on the pitch. So I suppose, hey, if he wants to sleep, he can sleep as long as he wants. As long as he's on the pitch, I'm happy with that.
Mate, he's the coolest man in the world. Like, we played together at Cass when he was coming through, and he's just so placid, so chilled. And then when he gets on a field, like a practice field with us or straight into a game, he is electric. Next one, Snig 141 on the England win. He's printed a quote from Jacques Berger. They say, win ugly, win boring, tough win, gutsy win, close win. All I hear is win. We in agreement with that? It doesn't matter how you win. England will take that, won't they?
Yeah, I think definitely for the first game. Obviously, England's come from, they've been in a dark place at the moment. And obviously, the last 6 games, losing 5 games, I suppose all they needed was for that first game was to get that win. And I think they showed quite a lot of guts and doing it 14 men. And I think, I think this is where it comes down. Ugly wins matter. And for the first game of the World Cup, to get us go forward for the next game, I think it's the perfect start.
A bit of a tip of the cap as well to Ronan O'Gara. The Irish fans turning out for their team's preparations with a flag, referencing as well Ronan O'Gara and his team talk. Irlande, l'opportunité est effing énorme. How big will the Irish fans be throughout the course of this competition?
Obviously, I think all the fans will be big, but I think Ireland clearly coming in is probably one of the favourites. So they've obviously got off to a strong start as well, and I'm sure there'll be a few effings getting flung about in that camp as well. But yeah, it's great to see all the supporters over here, I guess, in France.
A little bit controversial. You got Baskili. He says both teams, referring to the opening game, looked relatively awful until the 60-minute mark. France finally settled in the last 20 minutes, and I think the performance can be put down to nerves. On the other hand, Jimmy, I don't think anyone will be scared of this New Zealand side after watching that match. What do you think?
Well, the last team that lost the first round ended up winning the World Cup, so I don't think you can write New Zealand off. But that game was pretty obvious. There was a lot of pressure. Looked like both teams were trying not to lose than winning the game. And especially at the start in New Zealand, I thought, oh, here we go, we're on. And then it just sort of petered out. But that's what happens. It's pressure. It's first game in the World Cup, massive atmosphere, and it was a tight game. So, no, New Zealand, they'll be back. And definitely might even face South Africa or Ireland in the quarters.
Don't write them off, says Jimmy Gopperth. Neon Compass. This will be France v South Africa final, and I cannot wait. Both teams have incredible depth on their bench. It's unreal, and they will clearly be the finalists. Grieg?
I think it's a big call to say clearly, but definitely probably between France, South Africa, Ireland, New Zealand, probably, I reckon, between the 4. So there's a bit of rugby to be played between now and then. You need a bit of luck as well with injuries. So yeah, I wouldn't say clearly, but definitely, and 2 of the teams in the top 4.
Harry Flashman, I reckon Wales can drag France down to their level and nick a win if they meet in the knockouts. The question is, how far can Wales go, Steph?
To be honest, I think they are a good team, but I just think the other teams around them, they've just got a little bit too much for them. I think maybe they're a couple of years out, Wales. I'm being English, that's why I'm saying that. So, I don't think they've got that extra bit to go any further.
A bit of a change of gear. 10 Acius and Blocky Joub are asking questions about Rassi and his lighting system coming from the coach's box. Jimmy, what did you make of Rassi's red light, the light system he's got going on? Are you for it? Are you keen on that, or what do you reckon?
Yeah, as I said, I was at that game, and I watched a couple of their players when there was a penalty, and they straight away they look over to the coach's box and go up. And I'm all for innovation, but you gotta trust your players on the pitch to make the decisions, and you're in the heat of the moment on the pitch, so you sometimes have a little bit different feeling than the coaches do in the box, because you can watch a game up top and it's so easy. Why are we not going here? Why are we not doing that? When you're down in the heat of the moment, it's a totally different game and you have different feels. So for me, once those players go across the whitewash, just leave them to it. You can give them little tips here and there, but leave them to it, make those big decisions.
Grieg, I know you would think the exact same way. I know you very well, but there's also a line of thought that would say, you're sat up there, you're making the call, you're relieving a little bit of pressure as well from the team against a decision-making role, and you're taking that pressure away from your captain. But as a skipper, you would have always liked to be there in that heat, in that moment, and taking things by the scruff of the neck, right?
Oh yeah, if I was captain, and I think as Jimmy's sort of alluded to, it's you got to trust the players, but I guess what it does sort of show you is maybe how tight knit the South Africans are in terms of that camp and how much they maybe trust the coaches, and that's obviously their process. So they've obviously bought into that, and that can be a strength of the group as well, I guess.
Great stuff, fellas. Let's take a look now at what's been happening in and around camps in the opening week of the competition. Welcome back to the final segment of Rugby After Hours, where we have a game to play, agree or disagree, where we have certain statements from the Rugby World Cup this weekend, and we're going to see, fellas, whether you agree or disagree. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Ready.
Let's go.
The 7-1 split, is it a revolutionary tactic in rugby? Before you said anything, I know it's because you want more forwards on the bench and you guys are
100%.
worried about your careers.
Exactly.
Is that it? Going back to
That's Betsy got no jobs.
There you go. I'll put 2 up.
That's the career prolonged for
There
you,
was no
Steph.
forwards on the board, mate. Steph's getting us back now.
In a sporting manner, your careers aside, the selfish part, we'll take that out. The sporting manner, the etiquette behind it, everything that's been levelled from Matt Williams through the week. I know we're not a fan of those either, but any other takes on it? What do you reckon in general about the strategy and the tactic?
Well, you got to look at it. If you're looking at strategy, it's smart because you got a game plan, and you're using that advantage over the other side. So it's smart. It is a way of moving the game, I suppose, tactically. But there's a lot of quick, smaller guys out there that will be sitting on the sidelines watching the games.
There's 2 agree and 1 is just desperate for an 8-0 split, we can tell. Right, Hugo Monnier is now the best dressed man in World Rugby. Thumbs up or thumbs down, lads?
I quite like Hugo. I don't want to answer this question, but I'm going to.
I'll
Just
give him
take
that. He's trying, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's trying.
I'm going to agree.
Unanimous. We move on. South Africa are now the favourites for this Rugby World Cup.
I would agree.
Why so?
I think because their team, they really understand the way they play the game, and everybody seems to buy into that. And they've got the power to back it up. I think it showed again in that Scotland game over the second half. It's a fairly simple game plan, but very effective.
Jimmy, who's going to run them close?
Yeah, there's a number of teams that are going to go, but it's going to come down to that quarterfinal, isn't it, and who they'll face. But it's going to be anyone. That's as soon as they get to top 4, it's going to be close. So I can't pick out exactly who's going to run them close, but they've got the firepower, haven't they? They're a big team and winning rugby. They know how to win.
Antoine Dupont is already the greatest icon that we've ever had in rugby.
Might go on the side.
Well, it's a tough call, already.
Yeah, already. Yeah.
Johnny Wilkinson, Dan Carter, Richie
John
McCall,
John Olomu, that was the one that came to me.
Yeah. There's been a lot of stars, along the way as well. He's certainly one of them, definitely. But
Currently?
yeah, currently, yeah.
100%.
Ford is the man to take England the whole way through this competition at 10.
I do believe.
Unanimous, really?
Well, I think what I said before in terms of it's about taking opportunities, and I thought you certainly played outstanding at the weekend. So
And
why
what
not?
does that mean now for Steve Borthwick in terms of captaincy? If Ford is at 10, is he bringing Farron to 12, or does that mean that he looks at another captain throughout the competition?
I think you've already got another captain in Courtney Laws. I think he shows it every week in, week out when he plays that he's a leader, that he can be captain. So if it is Owen who plays, then fair enough, it's Owen captain. But I think Courtney is there he's there to step up, and I think even Ellis Genge as well, the performance he does do, I think he could easily come in and be captain. So I don't think they're lacking in captaincy.
No, you've got loads of club captains, haven't you? And they're all international players. They're all bloody good at what they do. And that leadership group, we're working together all the time. So at the end of the day, it's someone to say, yeah, we'll go for 3 points or we'll do this. But you've got the core group in every team that lead on the pitch. So it doesn't matter who's got the big C next to their name, because that leadership group will fire through every single game.
It's certainly a debate that I don't think is over. It's going to rumble on. Wales were very lucky to beat Fiji.
Lucky.
Come on, you said it before they were.
I'll agree with all of peer pressure.
Buckle. Great, talk us through. You absolutely caved.
Well, I mean, very lucky. Like, I mean, yeah, they're probably lucky, I guess, not to pick up a yellow card. But they've scored more points than Fiji at the end of the day. So we've talked about winning before. It's definitely lucky, probably not to pick up another card. So yeah, it's quite harsh to say they're very lucky to end up winning again. They did stick in and make it pretty difficult at times for Fiji.
Jimmy?
Yeah, exactly the same. Look, they won the game, and they stuck in there, but they had so many warnings in certain parts of the game where other teams wouldn't have that many warnings, and that sort of probably let them just gain a little bit more momentum, what they needed in the end there.
You're not going to like this one, Greek. Scotland will not make it out of their pool.
Yeah, I don't like that one, Johnny.
Do you want an Englishman to help you?
Yeah, you go first, mate. Give me time to think.
I think that's a little
thumbs
bit... Listen,
first,
I'm helping the Scottish out. I think that's quite harsh to say, because I think Scotland, once they get going forward with the pack, when the pack's going forward, and Finn sort of playing on the front foot ball, I think they're a very dangerous team. We've seen them play when they played France a few weeks back. They can play. They've got the players to do so, and it's just they need to take their chances when they come. I think in that game they had a couple of chances where they could have finished tries off, which would have made the score a little bit closer, but they didn't. So I think eventually, if they start getting the points, I think they'll be quite a tough team to beat.
Jimmy, do you see Scotland beating Ireland in their last pool game?
Look, it's going to be a hell of a game. And as Steph just said, they can play. They really play from the domestic level to the international level. But Ireland, for me at the moment, they're clicking. They're really clicking. They understand what they want to do. And some of the talent coming through, no matter who they play or play on the pitch, are playing really, really well. So, unfortunately, mate, I see Ireland...
I could see you building that one up.
Ireland taking that one.
Yeah, and Scotland, they need to bring their best ever performance from this group of players to win that game. Just for the reasons Jimmy's touched on, Ireland are clicking. It doesn't really matter who they bring in, or if they need to make a couple of changes through injury. There's players coming in that are fluid in their system. But Scotland, you've always got to learn why you lose games, learn why you win. And Scotland created an opportunity just before half time to potentially score a try against South Africa. Never took it. So if they took that try in the game a couple of days ago, it could have been a different result. You don't know. So they're going to have to take every opportunity that they're given in that game.
So they're making it out of the pool, or they're not making it out of the pool?
They're making it out of the pool.
They're making it out. Positive attitude, Greg. Yeah. France. We've all played in France. Steph, Years, Grieg, Clermont, Jimmy down at Aix-en-Provence. France have the greatest fans in the world. He's been here 3 months and he's already sold.
They're so bloody passionate. I love it.
Yeah,
absolutely love it.
I'm waiting for thumbs up, thumbs down, boys.
I love it.
Yeah, no.
You've got to stick with your own country, mate, haven't you? Scottish fans are pretty good as well, to be fair, for the most part. But
I can't stick with Trinidad, mate. They haven't got a team.
I'd love New Zealand fans. They're going to games to analyse too much, whereas here they're just going to have bloody good time.
It's a carnival, isn't it?
Yeah,
and that's what it's about. And geez, it's fun to play in front of. It's awesome.
But let's be honest, though, the Fijians, though, the fans, they'll travel everywhere, and they come. Only a small group, but they'll make the most noise.
I played against Fiji, and they were hanging off the signing boards so they could play see. It was unbelievable.
South Africa, the Rassie Erasmus traffic light system should be banned.
Yeah. Well, I'll probably disagree.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make any
Yeah, it
odds
doesn't
to
make
me.
a difference actually. But
Nobody's bothered.
No.
Okay. Great stuff, fellas. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask you before we let you go, final predictions. Who's going to win this tournament and why? Steph?
England. Nah. Okay. England's in my heart, but I think it's going to be New Zealand. I think they're coming from the 2 big losses. I think they've got a lot to prove and they're going to come out firing. So I'm looking forward to it.
New Zealand for Steph, Grieg?
France. I think between South Africa and France, but I think the French are going to get up with their fans behind them, playing here at home, a couple of superstars in the team. I think France are going to hold on and do it.
Last but not least, Jimmy?
Look, have to stick with the home country. I think New Zealand are going to do full circle and come back and beat France in the final. It's going to be an awesome spectacle and one I can't wait to watch.
Well, thank you all very much for joining us. And thank you for joining us as well on Rugby After Hours. Don't forget, you can check out the rest of our content on the World Cup channels. Follow everything, the highlights throughout the competition. Join us next week. We'll have 3 new guests for another episode of Rugby After Hours.